So Seth
Keep it to
Wickersham
ourselves.
has gotten to places because he gets news and he shares it with us. And he doesn't keep it to himself. And I was informed that a new Seth Wickersham piece on Belichick just dropped. And I'm wondering, Wickersham, have you gotten used to your pieces now just dropping? I don't know who else in sports media has the distinction. There are Woj bombs, there are Shams bombs. What are Schefter's things called? Pieces don't drop in our business anymore.
I think maybe I should go the Taylor route. I don't know.
I don't think that you
You want to hide under my desk and I can just prop you up every time you got a scoop, like Scoops
I
Taylor?
love that.
Jessica, what have you read that's interesting in the pieces you're trying to catch up, because he is our foremost Patriots reporting authority?
Yes, Seth, hello. Nice to see you again. It's been
good
a
to see
minute. Seems like this was something that came about after Belichick was around a lot of college programs with his son this past year and maybe initially wanted to be back in the NFL, but doesn't seem like it's a real option. So at what point did he finally sort of like start making the choice in his head, like, hey, I could actually be a college football head coach? Like, what was the timeline of that?
Yeah, it came about midway through the season, and it's been interesting. So every week, Belichick and a lot of his former assistants in New England, all of whom are, out of the coaching world right now, would meet on Zoom, and they would go through, every game and every team in the NFL, schematically, salary-wise, injury-wise, whatever trends they could spot. And it was all with the design of what jobs might be available, what jobs might be interested in Bill, and would Bill find them appealing. It's been kind of a rough, 2024 for Bill. I mean, he was fired in New England. The Dynasty series on Apple kind of roundly dismissed, his contributions to the Patriots' greatness. He wasn't able to get any of the jobs that were available in January and only got one interview. And I think that as he sort of surveyed the landscape and looked at the possible situations that he might be a candidate for and what he would be walking into, college began to look more attractive, where he would have more space and more autonomy to run a program his way. And I think if we've learned anything about Bill Belichick over the years, it's that when at a crossroads, he will do and take decisive action to take control of his career. And I think that's what he did here.
Wickersham, give us the best info in your piece. You get the reported stuff that no one else gets. What do you have that is the most interesting around this stuff that other people don't have? Jessica's busy reading it. It just dropped. I haven't been able to get to it. Yeah. So just give me the good stuff.
Well, I mean, there's people familiar with his thinking who think this is a big FU to the NFL, and that he had grown disenchanted, and disgusted was a word that I had been told, with the way that NFL teams are being run and the hiring decisions that, these owners are making. I mean, this is an 8-time Super Bowl champion who it was unclear whether he was going to get a job this next coming offseason. And yes, he's got strikes against him, his age, his record without Tom Brady, the way the league is kind of generally trending, but you can't take his stature and his accomplishments away from him. And look, he would go on TV and go on his podcast and talk about all of these really basic screw-ups that were happening in the NFL each week. These people who had jobs that he didn't have, mostly in the game management and clock management situations, the situational football that he all but pioneered and mastered. And, he can handle some of these situations, like the end of the Bears-Lions game, in his sleep. And yet he was having to describe for the masses exactly in excruciating detail all of these screw-ups. And I think that there was just something about the NFL that he had grown disenchanted with over the past year.
Hold on.
That's really what made college more appealing.
Seth, you're saying disenchanted, but you're also articulating some form of, no one will hire me. Do you know who I am? This disgusts me. Like, yeah. he's like, explain to me, wherever ego resides in the pride of winning the game of warriors, Bill Belichick at 70 knowing what he knows about what it takes to win, looking at the NFL, I have to interview how many times with Atlanta you disgust me. Like, explain to me the pride hit that this has been.
Yeah, I think it has been. And I think that, imagine, it's like he has always coached and worked as if his self-worth is tied to the result in a coin flip of a game. And when he would lose games in New England and in Cleveland, I mean, it would take on an atmospheric type of level. I mean, it's like those losses would take on a life of their own. Imagine the quiet seething that someone with his stature and his accomplishments went through in January, having been shown the door by Robert Kraft after he helped make Robert Kraft billions of dollars and changed his life and legacy. Got only one team was willing to interview him, and he didn't finish in the top 3 candidates. He had to listen to teams around the league almost kind of celebrate the fact that he wasn't in the league and that he was, quote, voted off the island, as Don Van Natten and Jeremy Fowler reported in April. And I think that there was, even though I think that he always thought he was, he'd prefer to maybe return to the NFL, or at least plan to, as they went through these weekly Zooms. In the middle of the season, things started to change a little bit. And all of a sudden, he was starting to analyze college programs a little bit alongside the NFL ones. That's when I think it became something that he was truly considering.
Seth, it's been said before that Bill is a young 72, whereas Mac is an old 73. Does Bill signing this deal with UNC all but ensure he will never coach again in the NFL, given his age?
Yeah, and I mean, Van Natten and Fowler in April had someone who's very knowledgeable with the way the NFL works, convinced that he was done coaching in the NFL. And, even though that can sound kind of shocking, and it was certainly shocking to me, you wouldn't know. And teams don't back channel communication as much as they used to. Remember, Brian Fleury still has his discrimination lawsuit now in 2 years now. And so, teams weren't just saying to Bill Belichick, hold tight, we're going to hire you. It doesn't work like that anymore. And I think that, he was facing the prospect that he might not get in any of these jobs. You never know. And he might not want the ones that he might get. Whereas returning to a place like North Carolina, where he was as a boy when his dad was a coach, and kind of feeling that new challenge of the college game seemed really energizing to him.
Seth, is this sad? Because I've seen people with a take saying this is pretty sad for the greatest of all time to be essentially out of options and disgusted with the entire pro ranks, and he's just taking his ball and Matt Patricia, and he's going to Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a part of that just always going to seem weird. And, we've just grown up and been used to him patrolling an NFL sideline for so long. And I think that, he ran the New England Patriots with, trying to minimize the emotion in every decision making. And he got into some big contract battles with players over the years, released certain players, created a big uproar at times, could seem cold and calculating in how he handled things. And I think that he did try to improve that part of it as he went on as a coach. But, the pro football is just a tough game, and very few people get to end it on their own terms. And I think that having a chance in college where he has the space to operate his way, and a chance to win or lose games on his terms, which is all he's ever asked for, looks more appealing right now. There's a lot of college coaches who are trying to get to the NFL, but I think there are a lot of people in the NFL who consider a lot of college jobs better than NFL jobs. The question is whether North Carolina is one of them and what he'll be able to do with that program, I think.